This is the spot. Oh, we're out here. First off, we're out here doing some stands. I typically like to do this earlier in the year, but I know this property. I sat over here. Everywhere I'm going to be hanging spots, I know the spots, so I know what they look like. I know the trees I want. We were walking through here, and we noticed the spot I was at last year hunting. I'd get busted a lot because a lot of the deer would come through here, or come from that way, anywhere back there in the bedding area. And basically, what we learned is that these deer, they'll smell anything coming that way because you typically get a southwest wind here. So what I needed to do is not be there, but put myself further on the edge to watch this traffic coming through here. So I'll be pretty close to any deer coming like this. And typically my wind should be blowing out that way or out that way. So this should be, I think, a better setup, and we'll see how it goes. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm drilling in, because I've noticed over the years trying to hand drill these without a pre-drill hole can be pretty tiring, especially when you're hanging up in the tree. And also what we're doing is we're going with pegs, and the reason why is because there's not usually a lot of deer in here. I know you've seen the beds and stuff and all that in here, but there's not usually a lot of deer in here around this time. But when it comes to the fall, all this thick cover, all the foliage falls, so they want to be in the thick cover. This and the edges of this stuff is going to be the bedding area, especially right so close to food. So that's why we're going with pegs. It's a lot quieter, climbing up, and it's always been my way and my go-to. So. So here we are, I'm up in the tree, good 22, 25 feet, somewhere around in there. And I wanted to get up here and show you basically what I'm doing here and why I set this spot up. So right here in front of me I got a trail in this little opening. I got a trail that cuts this way, comes right down through here, and then keeps going across that way. And that's the trail that them bucks like to use. They like to run this way, going east and west. This is the north line over here. South line's behind me. And they like to run this east and west. And we also got this food plot back behind me too. We got that tilled up. We're going to plant that at the end of this month. We're in July now. But we got probably close to a dozen trails all the way back out that way, all the way across that way, just coming this way to come into this food plot. And they're heavily used trails, and we've noticed that over the years. Those are the does. And I'm not saying just does, bucks will use them, but typically naturally those are what the does use all year round. They bed back out this way, just along the edges of the thicket on the opposite side, watching the neighbor's line, and then they come this way, going into the food. I can actually see a couple beds just straight down here. And this is why I picked this spot. You know, you can get into the spot, you can come in on the evening right along the food plot edge. Come right here, there's kind of a rise and a ditch here, so you can hide behind that. Anything bedding out that way you can hide behind. Then you got this thick cover no more than 30 yards out. That's where they bed beyond that. You got all that to hide behind getting in. And same thing out that way, about 80 yards. They bed way back that way on a little ridge, and that's all hidden from this thick cover. I mean, I sat right back over here about 60 yards, and I shot that buck over here last year and seen that big one coming this way a couple times last year during bow season. So that's kind of my point. They don't see you getting into this spot, and this is a really good spot. Not a good morning spot because the deer are out in that food plot eating, or relatively in the area eating the acorns or something. This is where they like to eat. We get that on camera a lot at night, but this is a great evening spot, especially when you get closer to that phase of the pre-rut phase when they're cruising. This is an awesome spot. Getting in here a couple hours after daylight wouldn't be a bad idea either, and sitting until dark. But this is why I'm setting this spot up. I got trails everywhere. I got the main trail at 20 yards coming this way that the bucks cruise on. couple lanes I got to trim up. Easy access getting in, quiet access, you can hide getting in. And then the main trail that they get into the food plot is right back here behind me. And then one more quick thing I want to say, because I see this all the time. This is private, a private land setup, but I have, you can see right here, I have these pegs down here. You see they go all the way around the tree, both sides. And this is how I'm set up. Like I said, I expect the deer to come from this way or cruise this way. And I have this tree as my buffer. The deer can't see me behind this tree. That's a fact. You can't see through something mass. So I see a lot of people saying that saddle's not the way to go. You can't get in quiet, this and that. And that's just not true. You know, if even on a public land, you can use the squirrel steps or the ring of steps or whatever they got. They got a bunch of systems you can do with that. But the whole point of this, also not being on a platform because you're sticking out like you would on a tree stand. So not putting your knees up against the tree and sticking out, but straddle the tree. That's how you do it. And if I got a deer coming from over here and I can see it, which I can when the foliage is off, I can see a little ways out there, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come around the tree, step, and you can say, oh, that's too much movement. The only movement that deer could have seen was the bottom of my leg. That's no different than you shifting over or grabbing your bow. Now I'm hidden. The deer cannot see me, and I'm expecting that deer. I'm set up for the deer to come this way. I've watched it happen, so I'm not going to expect the deer to come back behind me, especially if I'm seeing them right here. I see the deer, I put the tree in between me, I get ready for the shot, I grab my bow, and I just peek around the tree and watch. I got the tree, nothing can see me. I can go all the way around the tree because I got the pegs like that. All I have to do when I have my tether on, I got my lineman's on. Once I have my tether on, I just loosen it up a little bit as I go. And I like to put a peg right here so I can have my hand, give me something to kind of stand on. I learned that tip from some of John Eberhardt's videos. But that's how you do it. This is the spot I wanted to show you. I wanted to give you more in-depth because I know a lot of guys that just show you on a whiteboard or they stand in front of the stand and just point everywhere without showing anything. So this is the setup. Food behind me, trails here, great cover to get in. You can hide in here, and that's how I hunt out of the saddle. So hope that works for you guys and you guys learned something from it.